It was the evening of December 3rd, 1963, around 8:15 p.m. The dinner looked absolutely amazing. It was a thick slice of roast beef, cooked just right, swimming in a rich brown gravy with a touch of rosemary. Chef Marcel had really outdone himself this time. The smell alone was enough to make a man forget all his problems. Bumpy Johnson sliced off a piece, lifted the first bite to his mouth, and started to chew. But suddenly, he froze. It wasn't because of the flavor. The flavor was delicious. It was the feeling. There was something crunchy between his teeth that had no business being there. It felt like he was chewing on sand mixed with silk. Decades of surviving hard federal prisons had taught Bumpy lessons that most men never have to learn. He knew that enemies would pay guards cash to crush glass into a prisoner's mashed potatoes. You learn to trust your tongue more than your eyes. If you didn't, you would end up bleeding from the inside, wondering why your stomach was burning. Bumpy didn't spit it out on the floor. He didn't let a single muscle in his face show the fear of what he had just found. He took a slow sip of water and carefully moved the sharp fragments to the front of his mouth. Then, acting like a true gentleman, he dabbed his lips with his napkin and spit the danger into the white cloth. He cut another piece of the dinner, lifted it up, and pretended to eat it, but his hand quickly dropped the meat into the napkin on his lap. Across the private room at the Blue Velvet Lounge, someone was watching. Someone was waiting for Bumpy Johnson to swallow enough glass to destroy his insides. Bumpy didn't know who it was yet, but he knew one thing for sure. By this time tomorrow, he would have answers. He walked out of the restaurant with a napkin full of poisoned meat and a calm look on his face. The clock was ticking. He had 24 hours. The hunt had started. Bumpy's black Lincoln pulled up to his big mansion on the hill at 9 p.m. His driver, a young guy named Leon, opened the back door and saw it immediately. Bumpy moved differently. He looked calm on the outside, but underneath, he had a dangerous energy. Leon had only seen that look once before, right before the great gang wars of the 40s. "Get Big Sal," Bumpy whispered. "And get whispers. Tell them to be here in an hour." "Is everything okay, Mr. Johnson?" Leon asked. Bumpy stopped at the front door. The street lamp lit up his cold eyes. "Someone tried to kill me tonight at the Blue Velvet, right in front of everyone. By sunrise, I want to know who, why, and where they are hiding. Do you understand?" Leon nodded. He drove off fast before Bumpy even got inside. Inside the house, Evelyn was reading a book in the living room. She looked up, saw her husband's face, and put her book down. "Ellsworth? What happened?" Bumpy put the stained napkin on the table and unfolded it. The chewed-up chunks of the dinner sat there, shining with saliva and sharp glass. "Ground glass," he said, "in my roast beef." Evelyn put a hand to her chest. "Oh my God! Who? That is what I need to find out." Bumpy sat down heavily. It was the first time he looked tired. It could have been anyone in that kitchen. There are a dozen workers back there. Anyone could have touched that plate. "But you suspect someone?" she said. Bumpy was quiet for a moment. He looked at the evidence of his near death. Chef Marcel cooked it himself. He brought it out. He watched me eat. I trusted that man for 6 years. Every Thursday. And he tried to kill me. "Maybe," Evelyn said. "Or maybe someone forced him. Maybe they got to someone else in the kitchen." Bumpy shook his head. "That is what I need to know. Finding the person is easy. Finding the reason is what matters." By midnight, Bumpy's living room had turned into a headquarters. Big Sal arrived first. He was 53 years old, built like a truck, with eyes that had seen too much violence. He had been Bumpy's muscle for years. Then came Whispers. He was skinny and quiet, which made him perfect for his job. He ran the streets uptown. Nothing happened in those 15 blocks without him knowing. He was Bumpy's spy network. Bumpy explained the situation. The dinner, the glass, the survival. "I need a list of everyone who was in that kitchen tonight," he said. "Every cook, every dishwasher. Find out who has been talking to strangers, who has money problems, and who holds a grudge. Big Sal cracked his knuckles. You want me to grab them? Not yet, Bumpy said. First we watch. First we listen. He turned to Whispers. The Blue Velvet. Who really owns it? On paper, it's Mr. Henderson, Whispers said. But you know he has money from the downtown mob behind him. They helped him get the liquor license years ago. The downtown mob. Bumpy let the name hang in the air. The mob had been trying to get into his business for a long time. Any news from their side? Anything weird? Whispers thought for a moment. There is a name I keep hearing. Jimmy the Snake Moretti. He has been seen in our neighborhood a lot lately. He has no business being here. What exactly is he doing? Bumpy asked. Buying drinks, shaking hands, acting like everyone's best friend, Whispers replied. He paused for a second. He's building an army. Bumpy nodded slowly. The puzzle was coming together. It was still blurry, but he could see the shape of it. Start with the kitchen crew. I want names, home addresses, family secrets, money troubles, everything. Have it on my desk by breakfast. At 6:12 a.m. the next morning, Whispers came back to the mansion with a stack of papers. He had 12 names, 12 lives, 12 possible killers. Most of them were clean. They had no debts to bad people and no reason to want Bumpy dead. They were just regular folks happy to have a steady paycheck in a busy kitchen. But 3 names had red marks next to them. First was Leo, the dishwasher. He owed $500 to a bookie on the south side. He could have been forced to do it. Second was Sarah, the salad girl. Her husband was doing time in state prison. Someone could have threatened him to make her cooperate. And then there was Chef Marcel. 6 years of perfect work. He didn't drink, didn't gamble, and nobody had a bad word to say about him. But he had a dead brother. Tell me about this one, Bumpy said, tapping the paper next to Marcel's name. Whispers shifted his weight, looking nervous. His little brother, Henri. He died back in '55. He was beaten to death behind a pool hall on 4th Avenue. By who? Bumpy asked. Whispers didn't answer right away. His silence told the whole story. By who? Whispers. Big Sal's crew, Whispers admitted quietly. They were hunting a runner named Spider who stole from the bank. Henri fit the description. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Whispers let out a long breath. They realized it was a mistake after they finished. They left him in the rain. He died 3 days later at the city hospital. The room went dead silent. Bumpy stared at the wall, his jaw tight. I never knew about this. It was covered up. Or it was supposed to be, Whispers said. Big Sal's guys paid for the funeral. They told the family it was a random mugging. But if Marcel started asking questions, yeah, Bumpy said, he would have found the truth. Whispers closed the folder. 8 years, Bumpy. That is a long time to carry that kind of hate. Bumpy stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city waking up under a gray sky. 8 years. Every Thursday night. Every perfect roast beef dinner. Marcel hadn't been cooking for Bumpy out of loyalty. He had been preparing. He was waiting for the stars to align so he could take his revenge. And Bumpy had never seen it coming because he hadn't bothered to look. Henri was just another body crushed by the wheels of Bumpy's empire. An accident. But now, that accident had come back to haunt him. Find Jimmy the Snake, Bumpy said softly. Don't touch him. Just find him. I want to know exactly how he wound Marcel up and pointed him at me. The trail to Jimmy led through a gambling den on 10th Street, a barbershop used for passing notes, and finally to a back booth at a pizza joint in Little Italy. There he was, eating lasagna like he didn't have a worry in the world. Whisper spies watched him. They reported back and built a timeline. 5 weeks ago, Jimmy had approached Chef Marcel outside a bakery after Sunday Mass. They talked for less than 10 minutes. Marcel had walked away looking angry, but Jimmy came back. He returned 3 more times over the next few weeks. Each time, they talked longer. Then, 2 weeks before the poison dinner, Marcel met Jimmy at a coffee shop in Queens. It was neutral ground, far away from anyone who mattered. That meeting in the coffee shop changed everything. Jimmy knew exactly where to hurt Marcel. He ripped open a scar that had been healing for 8 years. The mob didn't need to pay Marcel a single penny. They just gave him a target. They gave him a chance to get even for his brother's death. November 15th, 2:47 p.m., Bumpy walked down to the basement of his mansion. Big Sal was sitting there, oiling a gun. "We need to talk about the boy," Bumpy said. "Henri." Big Sal stopped cleaning the weapon. He didn't look up. "That is ancient history, boss." "Not anymore." Bumpy sat down. "Tell me the truth." Big Sal put the gun on the table. He looked tired. "It was October of '55. We were looking for a thief named Spider who stole from the bank. My guys grabbed a kid who looked just like him. Same gray coat. They beat him in the alley to make him talk." Sal sighed, but the kid didn't know anything. He wasn't Spider. "By the time my guys realized they had the wrong person, he was dying. They panicked and ran. I found out the next day." "And you hid it from me," Bumpy said. "You were out of town," Sal replied. "I handled it. I paid for the funeral. I made sure the family had cash. I didn't see a reason to tell you." The silence in the room was heavy. "So my chef has been cooking my dinner for 6 years while hating my guts," Bumpy said, waiting for the perfect moment. "Because I never told you the truth," Sal admitted. "I've lived with that guilt for 8 years. Bumpy stood up. His face was cold. "Marcel is running. He knows the glass didn't kill me. He knows I'm coming." Bumpy headed for the stairs. "Find him. Bring him to the kitchen at the Blue Velvet." They caught Chef Marcel at 8:15 p.m. He was in a small motel room, shoving clothes into a suitcase. When the door crashed open, he didn't try to fight. He just looked at Big Sal's men and said, "I was expecting you." They dragged him back to the restaurant. They took him into the kitchen where he had spent years preparing perfect meals. The whole staff was there watching. The dishwasher, the prep cooks, everyone. Bumpy walked in last. The room went quiet. He stood right in front of Marcel. "You missed," Bumpy said calmly. "I tasted the glass and the roast beef." "I know," Marcel said. "I put enough in there to kill a horse." "You used my dinner to try and kill me," Bumpy said. Marcel laughed, a sad, angry sound. "You don't even remember him, Henri, my little brother. Your goons beat him to death because of a coat, and then you sent $200 like that fixed it." Marcel was crying now, shaking with rage. "You destroyed my family." Bumpy didn't move. "I didn't know about your brother until today. That is the truth." Bumpy's voice was low. "But he died because of my business, and for that, I am responsible." Marcel looked surprised. He hadn't expected an apology. "Your brother was innocent," Bumpy continued, "but you tried to murder me in my own restaurant, in front of my people. You would have done the same thing," Marcel spat back. "If someone killed your family, you would have done the exact same thing." Bumpy looked him in the eye. Maybe I would have," Bumpy said. "But I would have done it with my own hands. I would have looked you in the eye. I wouldn't have hidden poison in a dinner like a coward." Marcel flinched. That word hurt more than a punch. Bumpy turned to Big Sal. "Open the freezer." The walk-in freezer had a heavy steel door, 6 inches thick. It was built to keep meat frozen at 10 degrees below zero. When Big Sal pulled the handle, a cloud of icy fog rolled out like a ghost. Marcel's face went white with fear. "Bumpy, wait, please." "You spent 6 years in this kitchen," Bumpy said, pointing at the cold room. "You made it your home. Now it is going to be your classroom." Big Sal's men grabbed Marcel by the arms. He tried to pull away, but he was a chef, not a fighter. They dragged him toward the open door while the rest of the kitchen staff watched in silence. "Bumpy, please," Marcel was screaming now. "I will leave town. I will disappear. You will never see me again." "I know." Bumpy's voice cut through the noise like a knife. "But everyone else needs to see this. They need to understand what happens when you try to kill the king and miss." They shoved Marcel inside. The cold hit him instantly. It was a wall of ice that stole the air from his lungs. He spun around, eyes wide with terror, as Big Sal started to close the door. 8 hours, Bumpy said. "You will survive. Barely. But you will never forget this lesson." The heavy door slammed shut with a loud thud. Marcel's muffled screams echoed through the steel. For an hour, Then, there was only silence. November 16th, 6:15 a.m. When the freezer door finally opened, Marcel was curled up in the corner. He was barely awake. His lips were blue. His fingers, the hands that had cooked beautiful meals for years, were black with frostbite. 3 fingers on his left hand and 2 on his right were ruined forever. Big Sal's men pulled him out and wrapped him in warm blankets. They called a doctor who knew not to ask questions. Marcel would live, but he would never cook again. Bumpy stood over him while the doctor worked. He looked at the man who had tried to murder him. Bumpy didn't look happy or triumphant. He just looked tired, deep down in his bones. "You are leaving New York," Bumpy whispered. "Tonight. You never come back. If I ever see your face again, you die, and not in a freezer. I will put you in the ground." Marcel couldn't speak. His teeth were chattering too hard. But before he walked away, Bumpy reached into his coat. He pulled out an envelope and put it on Marcel's chest. "There is enough cash in there for a fresh start. Go somewhere warm. You will need it." Marcel's eyes went wide. He was confused. "I am not doing this for you," Bumpy said. "I am doing it for Henri. I can't bring your brother back. I can't undo what my people did." He paused. "But I can make sure his brother doesn't die in an alley too." Bumpy turned and walked toward the door. He stopped before leaving. "One more thing. Your brother's grave, that cheap wooden box, is gone. By the end of the month, there will be a proper headstone, marble. It will have his name and 2 words, 'Remembered always.'" Bumpy left without waiting for an answer. Chef Marcel left New York on a bus 3 days later. His hands were wrapped in bandages. His career was destroyed. And his revenge had failed. He moved to Miami, where the heat helped the pain in his missing fingers. He found a job washing dishes. It was the only work he could do. He never cooked another meal. Sometimes, late at night when the restaurant was closed and he was alone with the silence, he would look at his damaged hands. He would remember the freezer. He would remember the bone-chilling cold. And he would remember the man who punished him, but also paid for his brother's headstone. He never understood Bumpy Johnson. He never found peace with what happened to Henri, or the fact that he had thrown his life away for revenge. But he never went back to New York. Back in the city, the gossip spread like wildfire. Everyone talked about the chef who tried to take down Bumpy Johnson. They whispered about the glass in the dinner and the long night in the icebox. By the end of the week, every kitchen worker in town knew the details. The message was crystal clear. You could hate Bumpy Johnson. You could dream about killing him. But if you tried and missed, you would wear the scars of your failure for the rest of your life. Jimmy the Snake received a package at his club in Little Italy. Inside was a block of ice with a carving knife frozen in the middle. There was a note in Bumpy's handwriting. "The kitchen is closed. Stay out of my neighborhood." The downtown mob never tried to steal Bumpy's people again, and on a cold December morning, a new marble headstone was placed in the cemetery. It was simple and strong. It read, "Henri, 1936 to 1955. Remembered always." Bumpy visited the grave once, alone on a Tuesday when nobody was watching. He stood there for 10 minutes without saying a word. Then he placed a single white rose on the dirt and walked away. Revenge doesn't fix the past. It just makes the burden heavier for everyone. But sometimes, just sometimes, you can make the load a little lighter. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications because next week, we are telling the insane story of the time Bumpy Johnson walked into a room with 15 guns pointed at his head and walked out with an apology and a new business deal. 15 gunmen, 1 Bumpy, and 0 bullets fired. You do not want to miss that one. Drop a comment below. Was Bumpy right to let Marcel live, or should he have kept that freezer door closed forever? Let me know what you think.